Would you like me to open up? Because there's actually something really cool that I discovered about the vermicompost.
All right, so we've pulled out this container,
Yes.
and you are doing vermicompost.
Yes, yes.
Do you want to kind of walk us through why, what the process is, and then how you go about utilizing your vermicompost?
Okay, wow. So this is one of the first investments I made when I was going into seriously gardening and pursuing growing plants. The first thing I learned was fertilizer is expensive. Like these chemical fertilizers, very expensive in Zambia.
Yeah.
And so I went online. I was like, what's a good alternative to these fertilizers? And everyone was talking about, black gold. The worms create the fertilizer for you. And so I got these. I don't know if I can name a company.
In terms of what, the plastic?
The worms, where I got the worms. Or
Yeah, why not?
I got these from Ecobees. It was a miracle that they had them, because I was so desperate at the time, and I was just like, where am I going to find worms in Zambia? Do I have to go outside and just start
digging in the soil?
Yeah, it was, but they had them, and they guided me well on how to
set up a system. Is it
on just how to generally care for them? And then this was, I think, 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere, maybe 5 or 6 years ago is when I started. And then maybe let me open them up. I found some very interesting things as I got. Oh, there's a little worm.
Trying to escape, an escapee. Well, you've got, here you've actually got quite an interesting ecosystem then, because there's obviously, as things are breaking down, it attracts other things. I see flies and whatnot. So then you've got all these little spiders that have come.
They love
and
it.
Lived. Some kind of fly larvae that was here that's now been killed off and whatnot. So.
That's also a very interesting fly.
Is this the soldier flies? Or
yes,
whatever
the black soldier flies.
Yeah.
Yes.
For which then you could capture the larvae and use that as a feed for chickens, pigs, all sorts of things like that.
Yes. So the vermicomposting has been a gift like no other, because once again you learn about all these different alternatives. Yeah. Like you said, because they also attract black soldier flies.
And the systems that then all live interconnected with them too. It's just amazing with nature, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's put this down.
Okay. And then I also made another. Most people who do vermicomposting are probably
a lot of escapees, by the way.
Yes. This is what always happens when I open this. It's always like, hey, get back in.
Where do you think you're going?
I feel like a prison warden or something. So something which I'm sure a lot of people who are into vermicomposting know is if you throw a seed into one of your bins, it generally sprouts.
Yes.
And so
I see your mangoes are shooting off here as well.
Yes, and this was done for a while. It used to happen by chance, and then I realized, wait, I don't need a greenhouse. I have a perfect greenhouse here. So rain season, season when mangoes are in season as well.
Yeah.
I bought as many as I could, and I would just eat them, throw them in here, with the plan that when they grow, I'll take them out, put them in the soil, and I can sell them. So it became more than just a way to compost and like create soil for the garden. Yeah. It also became a sort of mini
germination chamber.
Exactly, and it's really great. I'm writing a book on this.
Oh, is it?
Yes, I'm writing a book on this. It's a mixture of my experience, but then I've only been doing it for 5 years, so generally my experience is limited. So I also read up a lot on other people's experience, people who are more professional, and interestingly enough, found myself reading a book by Charles Darwin.
Is it? Oh yeah, because he did a whole book on worms.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I never thought I would read a book by Charles Darwin ever. I was like, and it was he knew so much about them. He did so many little weird tests on them. Can they hear? Can they see? What's their reaction to light? Yeah.
But it's also one of those kinds of things to dispel myths as well, because there's been always the myth, oh, don't worry, if a worm gets cut in half, the two halves will then continue to live and grow, and that's not necessarily true.
Definitely isn't.
It's cut off your arm doesn't live, it dies effectively. But Okay, do you want to take us through how you set up your vermicompost then?
Yes, mine isn't very complicated. I went for something that was very simple because the goal was mainly to observe.
Yeah.
Was to observe. I know all those other types of worm bins, the windrows, the ones which like auto collect, but I just wanted to see what I can feed them, what I can't feed them.
Yeah.
And so it's just simply 2 storage boxes, one with hose in the sides.
Yeah, I've seen the holes all the way around.
Just for ventilation, so they can get air in and air out. And then there are holes at the bottom for drainage.
Okay, yes.
So
in the inner one, there's holes at the bottom.
Yes, and so the leachate, I think it's pronounced leachate. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It seeps into this, and it keeps the leachate from
spoiling the ground and
constantly having to clean up after that. So it's a very simple system. There are much more elaborate systems, but this was a great training wheel for me. Is you put it in, you can see. I had a cockroach infestation once, and I don't like cockroaches. I was like, what's going on? Where are they coming from? And you learn, like, oh, okay, sometimes you start learning about the balance in the bin and what might attract cockroaches or what might attract ants. And like if you have ants, it's acidic, so you know that you need to balance,
bring up the pH a little bit better. And,
yes, and so it's been a really great. And after a few months, I harvest, and I have a whole bunch of food for my other plants. Yeah.
And what kind of amount are you then expecting to harvest from one of your containers?
I'd say, it depends on when I choose to harvest. So like, for example, I could harvest from this one right now, but I probably get less than 1/3 of a 20 kg sack.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I kept it, because again, there's the balance. The worms don't want to sit in their own.
No, and neither do we.
Yes. So I think usually I like to harvest when it's halfway. And I get like half a sack.
Okay.
But mostly that's because of I try to save as many worms as possible. So the harvesting process, I usually end up throwing back.
Yes. So. Yeah. No, it's a bit of a stepped procedure to make sure that you can still maintain that population that you need to get it growing again effectively.
Yes.
Because I see you got a lot of cardboard.
Yes.
Maize. The outer coverings of maize, it looks like here, and then fruits and what? That's more maize actually. That's maize that's germinated.
They love cobs. I don't know if I can find a cob in here. These
pull that up, probably.
Oh wow!
Would have been a cob at one point. Look at them all in there. Let's show the camera.
They love cobs.
All of those worms
it's like a jungle gym of them. Just like they'll dig into it and.
You got the maize all germinating from here. I think the other thing I would say, the amazing thing is, it's just, we talk about this being vermicompost, but this is ultimately beyond just the worms. You've got all sorts of other little decomposers in here. The spiders we pointed out were one thing, but there's all these little tiny white bugs that are crawling around in here as well. I do see a few ants here and there. But we give all the credit to the worms, but there's many other things that work in the same process. Pop them back in there.
It would be fun to look at it. Well, maybe not fun for some, but it would be fun to look at it under a microscope. It's probably a whole.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's things that we can't even see that are also in here. I think these white things might be the springtails or whatever they're called and stuff like that. So then, so this is then what you were then using as part of a makeup for your mixes. Yes,
but because I don't have that many, I have to be I try to be calculated about how I use it. Mostly I'll use it in potted plants. Potted plants because the potted plants which are going to be house plants, because they benefit from the characteristics of vermicomposts, the fact that it's lightweight.
The nutrients are released over time as well. It's not a direct shot like chemical fertilizer is.
Yes. So that's what I mainly use it for, and anything that I feel needs that, like the benefits of vermicompost.
Are we able to actually lift this up? Because then you can see the leachate.
I don't know if we have any, but hopefully we do. Oh,
a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm still looking for viable stands. Right now I'm just using stones, but you can see.
So this would be quite concentrated with nutrients then as well, this stuff in here, isn't it?
I'm actually very interested in, because there's this debate. Some people say leachate is good, some people say it's bad. I've used it in my garden. I haven't seen any negative effects.
No, I think it is used quite nicely. The main thing there is that you're not pouring it too concentrated onto plants or things like that, that it is mixed at an appropriate kind of rate. It's the same kind of thing with the comfrey. If you make comfrey tea, you don't just pour that straight on. You mix it with something else. Mix it with a certain amount of water and pour it in. I think that's the same thing with the leachate. But as far as I know, it's a benefit. It's another usage of the materials. But I'm sure there must be some work done on it.
Yes, it's just been interesting because especially like I said with writing the book and all that, you look into all these things and then you just find people arguing. It's just like, no, it killed my plants.
That is society in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. No, it's not great.
No, it has this. Oh, no. It's because it's all the waste from the from the worm, so it's bad.
We take the solid waste and you say that's good, and then you're saying the liquid waste is not good. No, to me it's all one and the same. The main thing is you just got to figure out the proportion that you mix it with when then applying it. Well, but there you go. There's some experiments for you to try.
Yes.
And to see if and then you can come up conclusively say in your book it is.
Yes. And have a whole bunch of people attack me afterwards.
Yeah. Hey, that's life nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's pop this back on so that you don't lose any more of it if there's. Thanks for that demonstration.
You're welcome.
Lovely to see.